So this is my response into my comments, my second vlog. Um, so I think like one of the biggest realizations with these comments, as well as with our class we had on Friday, I think I was forgetting that these are a reflective exercise and not really like just tell me what you did kind of thing, what you saw and what you liked and disliked. I think I was forgetting to do that a lot. And I think going about in this way, and especially what you talked about, just to ask questions when we talked about that in your comments and in class, I think that's like one of the biggest things that will kind of help me learn more from this process. And yeah, I just really didn't think that aspect of it, of the real root of the exercise and what this is about. So I think I'll get more out of what's going on by asking questions. And I think also it's just like the first couple of days you're just kind of like a little nervous to ask questions, but I think it'll be fine. I'm also going back to placement over reading week, so it'll be exciting to kind of implement and ask for more questions. So I think the biggest thing is like what teaching means to me. I understand like everyone learns in different aspects, and that like doing a simple task or something that appears to be simple, but there's like an ulterior motive. Like obviously, like in the beginning, the kids learn how to sing these songs through solfege, like looking at solfege on a little staff, and then like they're obviously learning how to read music, do the rhythms, do some characterization, because some of the folk songs and the songs in the books do have different character. So there's lots of different things at play. My question, I think, though, is why is she choosing folk songs? Just because some of the content of it was like a little dated to my ear, with some very like gender binary norms, and then some like just it was just a little like dated just because they are folk songs. But so I'm wondering, maybe I'll ask her if she's thought about using different music or different like material to kind of go over it, and then why she's chosen those songs, because it's a big selection. So I don't know if it comes from a list or a teaching resource or whatnot. So it would be interesting to ask her if she substitutes any other song. But then there is like a point to learning classics, like My Bonnie Light Over the Ocean, and what is it? What other we've been doing for 2 weeks? Silver Birch. But the thing is that what I was wondering is that the kids have a really good hand on these songs. So I think I will probably ask the teacher if how long they do a song and when do they move on from that, or when does she think it's time for move on for that, and the kids have like learned everything they could learn from that song, or what the goal of the activity of singing all these folk songs are, because it just seems that some of the kids, from my perception of it, were a little unengaged, I guess because they've sang it so many times. So I'm wondering what's the benefit of continuing this. Like obviously not every single child would have had the hang of it and seemed like that. So I'm wondering how, I think I'll probably ask her, how does she gauge when to move on from something or not? Because just the couple classes that I've had, we just have sung these songs. And then they are fun and catchy, so I understand why she would probably use them, because they're just like pretty easy for kids to do. But going back to what teaching means to me, now it's a really hard question when I'm reflecting back on it, and like what it actually means to teach, because there's not one specific way that you can teach. I mean, you can go and look in the dictionary and then get that definition, but I think teaching to me means engaging with others and facilitating a learning environment and presenting material that kids, or new concepts or material that kids can learn from or work with to discover new things. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to have to keep thinking about this, because I don't know. There's a lot of different things that teaching means to me, and obviously, it's also I think it's so dependent on the situation too. Like, you can learn and have teachable moments in every aspect of life and different situations that you would never really think of. Um, and I think it's just like it's a very broad term, teaching, because you then would get into all the roles and then the stereotypes of teaching. So I guess when I did say like she wasn't really teaching, what I meant was that they weren't learning a new concept. It seemed that's maybe a or new material. I feel like that's a better thing. But then I'm also only there on the Monday, so yeah, so they probably are doing other things. So I'm just like wondering how maybe I'll ask her how she balances from teaching new curriculum and then like melding it with other like older like concepts that the kids are really familiar with. But they also don't have assignments, but I didn't remember really having much homework when I was in grade 3, but I was talking to other people and then their experience of like grade schools that they had homework to do. So I'm wondering too how this small instruction or teaching translates into other areas of their like music knowledge, because so I'm wondering like do they do extra solfege on their own or something like outside of the books that she gives them. I think like we did an exercise on the board, but it's always songs that the kids know, so it's easier for them to relate to. But then I'm wondering, does she ever, maybe I'll ask the teacher if she moves away from that, because then it gives a chance for kids to really know if they know their solfege skills. But yeah, so I think maybe I'll probably go back to what the teaching or perceive what teaching is at the end of the experience. But I think it's such a difficult term to really define, I feel. But I think you definitely have to be engaged with another person. So that means I feel that you have to be listening and understanding and actively listening to another person and actively being engaged. And then also, I think it's just really important to, I feel like bringing new material or a new concept. That's like another key aspect of what teaching would mean to me. But it's definitely being engaged. And if I'm going by that, then definitely the teacher was teaching. But I think it's just because it's so far from what I'm used to every day, where we do like new concept, new material, every lecture class kind of thing. So it'll just take me a little adjusting to get back to where it's not always about doing something new and learning something new every day, I feel. So I think that's another where that kind of my questioning came into play. And then also, I'm personally very fast paced as a learner, kind of. And I feel like if I was in that class as a child's perspective, I would get really bored doing the same songs from one book over and over again. And I get just super unengaged. So maybe that's where that also comes from. Because like I remember when I was a kid, I stopped dancing because I just couldn't do something over and over and over again continuously for a long period of time. I just got too bored of it. So I feel like that's probably where that came from. But yeah, so I think moving forward, I'll try to do some more asking of questions. And I think that's a really good way to go about, because I was just kind of thinking about the surface things. And then what we weren't supposed to do is just in these vlogs and just tell you what we kind of observed and saw and like did. So I think I'll try to put on more of a reflective hat and kind of go about it that way. And I think it'll be a better experience. Yes. Thanks.